All right. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm here with Adam Tirapelle at Clovis High School, multiple time California State champ, CAA champ, and current coach and dad of a wrestler at Clovis. Tell me like a little bit about growing up. What was it like having your dad as your coach?
Oh man, I think it's normal for us. That's how we were gym rats. You grew up. I would go to practice after my own school, elementary school or whatever, and I was just always there. And it was a big deal when you're the younger kid. I always wanted to try to fit in with the high school kids, so I felt like I was on the team. I would go to all the tournaments with my dad, or at least when I could. I was always trying to get out of school. My mom wouldn't let me, but show up on the weekend, and I'd be sitting there with him and trying to help him coach. And I when I was really little, obviously I couldn't wrestle the kids on the team, but I would do all the warm-ups with them and the push-ups and everything. So yeah, I just grew up. It was normal to us. Like we went to Hiram Johnson every day, and he went to wrestling practice. That's what he did.
Awesome. And having three brothers, all highly successful in wrestling, was there ever a dull moment in the Tirapelle household growing up?
No, my brothers are a little bit younger than me, so those two were a little closer. But yeah, we were doing wrestling all the time, and other sports as well. But like I said, just with your dad as a coach, and go into everything. And then of course they, being younger, were going to all my stuff, and then then they were on the same team together at the same time at Clovis High, and then following my career, and then I followed theirs. Yeah, it's a lot of wrestling.
Now there's grandkids in the Tirapelle family now that are wrestling, and we'll get into your son in a little bit. Talk a little bit about the dynamics between your dad and you are helping out at Clovis with Coach Gabe, and then Troy is kind of taking over the reins at Buchanan. Like, how do you guys balance family and that competitive desire to win in a duel? How do you, like, is there Starbucks before, Denny's after a duel? Like, how does that work for you?
I think, I get this question a lot because people see how competitive it is and how good both teams are. I think we just really like wrestling, and we talk about it all the time. And I mean, honestly, other than my own kids at Clovis High, I probably know his kids the best out of anybody and any other wrestlers, because again, we talk to each other. We bounce ideas. I mean, when Troy first started coaching, he obviously had a great background and he has great knowledge of wrestling, but he asked me questions. Well, hey, how would you do this? Or how would you deal with this? How do you guys do things? And I tried to help him as much as possible. It's just what we do. It's just like you're trying to help each other, your family. And honestly, as much as it sucks to lose to them, it's great to have more good programs. Now we got Gabe Flores with Clovis North, and hopefully that ends up another great program. There needs to be more places for kids to wrestle than just one. I think our dynamics are, like I said, we talk about wrestling all the time. We talk about each other's teams. Maybe the week we're going to wrestle, we don't talk as much before the match, but I always send him a message afterwards and, hey, great job, man. Like, you can't fault what he's done, or, you can't knock what he's done. And just an incredible, puts together an incredible program. And he does a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see to make that happen. And they have a great team. And honestly, it's made for a great rivalry and great duels, and, great for the sport.
100% great for the sport. I mean, when Flo's covering the big one and putting that up there with the top, kind of dual meets in the country, it's definitely all hands on deck. Does your dad ever have to, like, he must be super proud, and then also kind of, does he ever have to step in, or are you guys just, you understand family first and then wrestling?
Yeah. Wrestling is important to all of us, but wrestling is important, not winning. I mean, we want to win, don't get me wrong. We're very competitive people. But if it was about winning, then you would just, I don't think we'd get along very well.
Yeah.
We both had a lot of success in wrestling as athletes and as coaches. Like, we're not living or dying on whether our team wins that particular year, or, the dual meet, or the state, or whatever. It's one thing about, when you mature as a coach and athlete, don't get me wrong, we're there to compete and we're there to win. But it's not everything. Your success or your self-worth is not built on whether you win or you lose. It's more about preparing, competing, being the best version of yourself, being the best team you can possibly be, and then you kind of let it fall where it may after that. I think that's a big part of it, is that we both want to win, but you don't feel like you're a failure if you didn't win.
Perfect. So let's rewind a little bit. after an awesome California career, multiple state titles. What made you choose Illinois?
So I went to Stanford originally. So my first year I went to Stanford. I always wanted a good education. That was my dad and my parents had kind of instilled that in me, that was important. And so I went there for a year, but it wasn't the right place for me.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the kids that I grew up with, that I hung out with. It wasn't the program I wanted, and nothing against those guys. I still have friends from there, and I'm still friends with the coach. It was just, I really wanted the opportunity to, be a national champion. And if I didn't make it, you didn't make it, but I really wanted to go for it. And it was one of the talks I give, now to athletes all the time is about going all in, really going for it, really emotionally committing to something, physically, mentally, emotionally committing to something. It's the only way to have great success. And the reason we're afraid to do it is because if you don't make it, it hurts, right? If you commit yourself to something and you put everything into it and you don't get there, it's really painful. And anybody who has done that knows that it's one of the worst feelings in life, and you don't want it. You don't want to feel like that, but it's the only way to get to those elite levels. The only way to get past, push yourself past a hard point, push a wall back. And obviously to be a national champ is, you gotta be the best in the country. You're number one of one. And no matter how hard people think it is, it's way harder than that. It's so much harder than I ever thought it would be. And now as I get older, and obviously not what I was as a wrestler, it's more and more impressive, just because it's so unbelievably hard to, be that person on those particular, for 3 days.
Yeah. People I talk to say it's probably one of the top 2 or 3 hardest tournaments to win, like maybe a Russian nationals, just because they're so deep and things like that. But especially now that we've expanded more matches, and it's not just 3 days, it's 3 weeks. And you guys in Clovis, from the track to the CIF, and it's definitely a process.
It is a process. And there are guys that are, super successful. Kerry Collard, I know for sure, and some other people talk about. Now, the level of wrestling at the Olympics or the World Championships is better than the NCAA, no question, right? But as far as winning the tournament, swear that the NCAAs is harder. It's one of those very unique. The other thing about the NCAAs too is you're going through a whole season of college wrestling. You go to once you finish, and if you want to wrestle internationally or whatever, most of these times, and I did this a little bit, you just train for that event, right? Your whole training plan is like UFC, right? You're doing this fight camp or training all around just going to this one event and then doing the best you can, where you got to navigate a whole season of college wrestling, which is obviously a grind, physically, mentally, really takes it out of you. And then you're trying to be your best at the end. It's a very unique thing that doesn't happen anywhere else in wrestling.
So you talk about that grind in NCAA. Do you remember how many matches you had your senior year?
Gosh, I think I wrestled, well, here's my thing. I wrestled 31-2 my senior year and 39-3 the year before. So
which
that was what we used to
happen
do
anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't.
From a fan standpoint, I feel like it frustrates some people.
It does.
But I feel like you mentioned if NCAAs is the most important, you got to be as healthy as you can be.
Yeah.
As ready as you can be. And so I don't fault the college programs for scaling back. There's got to be maybe a happy medium in the middle, maybe not coming into NCAAs with 11, 12, 13 matches. Yeah. But I think gone are the days that, well, at least in the Big Ten and the Power Conference, you are not pulling in 30 plus matches anymore.
No. And you're not, and you don't need to. We did back then. I think everybody did it. We were okay, but also we did a lot. I think we had less mileage on our bodies. But I think this is one of the things that's changed a lot in wrestling is that, the internet has changed everything, because every parent, every kid has access to all the advanced training techniques, wrestling techniques, like everything, right? Like when I grew up, wrestling was sort of like this, almost like secret society, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't know somebody who really knew how to wrestle, that you didn't, where do you find that? Like my dad knew how to wrestle. That was super helpful for us, but you could be really into wrestling and you might not know anybody who could help you with it. Yeah. Now you got parents who never wrestled helping train their kids because they have access to all this information. So kids have all this access, but they put more mileage on their bodies because they're doing the things that I'd never seen a college match until I was a junior in high school. I mean, when I went to college, it was like a complete eye-opening. Like, I didn't know any of this. And, I was pretty good in high school, but it's a completely different level that you wouldn't have any access to if you'd never seen.
Yeah.
And now kids do. So I think the match count thing, part of it is they're doing more higher level training and getting more wear and tear on their bodies earlier. So when they get there, they're more ready, but you also don't need that, 40 matches to, kind of get up to speed.
Do you think that's also why we see so many freshmen coming in?
Yeah.
Like a Jax Forrest,
No question.
Sergio Vega. I go on and on. Like most kids are not ready for D1.
No.
Or even college right off the bat. However, the ones that are, it's no longer a Lincoln McElravy. It's no longer
no,
they aren't outliers anymore.
They're not outliers. And honestly, I think being younger helps. I think it does because again, they're less beat up. They're fresher. They're mentally hungry. When you get to the end of your college career, and again, take this with a grain of salt, but you're starting to wear down.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that Jesse Mendez, it's not these guys are not unbelievable wrestlers. They are, but the fire you had as a freshman is different than as a senior. Right.
Yeah.
So you get these guys now coming in, everything to prove. Nobody knows them. Right. So nobody's understands your style or how you wrestle. So you're jumping on the scene. They're obviously incredible wrestlers and they don't have a lot of mileage on their body. So they have everything going for them as a true freshman or maybe, early in the career, where back in our day, it was older was better. And nowadays, I really think younger's better. You see a lot of guys that were really good as freshmen, sophomores, and they're not as good as juniors and seniors, just from everything, injury, wear and tear. Like I said, hate to say fire like they don't want it. Again, I'm talking about a super elite level here, but
yeah.
It's just different when you're trying to prove something and you're jumping onto the scene versus you're in your fifth year.
Yeah. So you alluded to just physically the wear and tear and the mileage that we put on our bodies. What do you think mentally is the difference between and I guess this could relate to high school, kid that qualifies for state versus places versus wins. And then obviously NCAAs. Wrestling D1 is incredible. Being an All-American is even more incredible.
Yeah.
Being a national champ, like you mentioned, what do you think mentally goes into somebody? Are they built different or is it just all
the guys who make it, the guys who end up having success? I think there's a lot of similarities. You got to be a little bit obsessive. I know I was. It's not always a good thing in other areas of life, but the guys who really have a lot of success are typically pretty obsessive about doing something. All they think about, they're very singular focused. Obviously, there's a certain level of talent there. There's a ton of work that goes into that. But what drives you a lot of times is that obsession. You're just, all you think about is being a state champ. You don't get a lot of state champs that just, don't think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Because again, that's what keeps you wanting to work out, wanting to do the weightlifting, wanting to go to off-season practices, wanting to go to more tournaments, wanting to learn and improve. I think that's a big part of it.
What are tips or techniques or strategies you use in the Clovis room to try to instill that single-minded and that focus to let them know? Or is it just...
Well, I think I just try to be honest with them that it's just the way I was brought up and the way we coach. We don't try to tell kids, we don't try to blow smoke up their ass. We're very honest with them, about what it takes to be successful. And if they're doing those things or not doing those things, what their goals should be. I know we're talking about my son, but I'm not going to tell my son, the beginning of last year, you're going to be a state champ. He's not. There's no chance he's going to be a state champ. We set a realistic goal that's very hard. I got to really work hard and I may or may not make it. But if I do everything right, it's possible, right? Where you create these, again, you got a kid who's, a good varsity wrestler and you're going to be a state champ. They know the difference. You know what I mean? So it's setting realistic goals, helping them understand what it takes to get to those goals. And then, just constantly reevaluating and being honest with them. I think it's more that than us telling them this is what you need to do. It's what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Well, I really want to be a state champ. Well, these are the things it's going to take to be a state champ? Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
It's a joke I always say that, when we get to the postseason, you have the kids raise their hand, like, who wants to be a state champ? Boom, everybody's hands go up. And then, first month of the off season, who wants to do the work it takes to be a state champ? Where's everybody at? It's like, this is not a one-time thing. You don't get to the end of the year and just get pumped up. You've been putting into this. It's like a bank. You've been putting into this for 12 months and obviously longer, years. And then you get an opportunity to show how much you've improved and then, test yourself.
Awesome. At Clovis, obviously the expectations are high. How is coaching now different than maybe when you were wrestling? Do you see, or the kids, like I feel like obviously since I'm a teacher, so things are changing.
Yeah.
And have changed. How do you navigate that and meet the kids where they're at and balance your style of coaching?
Yeah, I think one thing we've always been good at is evaluating what you're doing. Sometimes you got to change. Like, you don't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, even if it's successful. Like, at some point, you got to look and kids change and situations change. So I will tell you, probably the biggest difference from when I first started coaching, which was like 2005. When I first started coaching, we did all of our off-season stuff. Like, that was it. Like, if you didn't do what we were doing, like, there wasn't anything else. So we had to do everything for the kids. It was weightlifting, off-season training, setting up little practice tournaments. And so we did everything. Now kids go to all these clubs, which again, I'm not down on. It's great. Like, these kids can get together and wrestle better kids, and other people are doing it for them. So we have to balance, like, okay, they have other wrestling opportunities. So we don't need to do everything. Doesn't mean we shouldn't do stuff, but you're trying to balance that. And we get a lot of kids coming in, with a lot of club wrestling experience, some of it good, some of it not as good. I think a lot of times they come in thinking they're better than they are. They've had success. They've won a lot, but they've won at the little kid level. And what wins at the little kid level doesn't win at the high school level, all of it. And what wins at the high school level doesn't always win at the college level. So understanding that, then you got to kind of get through to them that, hey, listen, you were just headbutting people. You've been headbutting kids since you were a sixth grader. And by the way, when you're in sixth grade and you headbutt kids, they give up. Yeah. When you get in our room and headbutt kids, they laugh at you and headbutt you back. Like, they don't give a shit. So this idea of, you win a lot when you're little just by being physical and tough. And then when you get into high school, okay, everybody's physical and tough. The level you want to be at, right? Yeah. You want to be a state place or a state champ, like, everybody's physical and tough. So you're not going to headbutt your way, guy your way to winning. Like, you got to learn how to wrestle. So it's just some of the challenges that I think that we have nowadays. Back then, it was like, we did it all. And hey, they were our kids, and, we had them the whole way. And now, like I said, around here, we have Dethrone, which is great. Jason Kraft. Izzy Silva is doing his place, the Silva Back Training Center, which is new. And I know a lot of kids go over there. And we've had Red Wave for many years. It's now shut down, but Red Wave had been around for years, and kids coming through that, and various other clubs too. Yeah. I mean, I did a little club, but that was really more for little kids and to work with my own kids. But again, so you get these club kids, and it's just different than it used to be, and you got to adapt.
Yeah. You talk about adapting. So obviously a great career wrestling, and you're coaching, and now your son is wrestling. How do you adapt to, or is it just coach mode when it's coach mode, dad mode? Like, where's that balance? How do you find that?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. This will surprise people, but like, when my kids were young, as fast as they could really understand, like, I told them, like, you're going to wrestle. Like, I'm not asking you, you're going to wrestle, not because I want you to be a world champ or a state champ or whatever. Like, you'll be as good as you can be, but it's going to be good for you. It's just like, you're going to eat your dinner. You're going to go to bed on time. Like, I'm a dad. I'm here to help prepare you for life. And I know this sport will help prepare you. You'll be tough enough for anything that life throws at you. And if you want to take wrestling beyond high school, if you can, fantastic. And if you don't, that's totally fine. But my assistant coach said something that I thought was really good, because when I first had Dylan, I asked him about it. And he said his goal for his kids was he wanted them to want to go to the NCAAs with him when they were 25. Okay. And I always thought about that when I had kids. Like, I want them to love the sport like I love the sport. They may not be all world of the sport. I mean, we can't control that, right? They may not have the ability, they may not have the desire, but I want them to have an appreciation for wrestling. And that when I'm older and they're older, we still talk about it. We still watch college wrestling. We still go to the national tournament, or, so that was kind of how I thought about it when started through the process. And then I'm just trying to help them get to a level, Dylan and Zach, get to a level that if they decide that wrestling is their thing and they want to really go for it, they have the foundation and the background that they're not too far behind. I know a lot of coaches' kids, I feel like they're afraid because, listen, there's the crazies in wrestling, right? Just complete banana shit, like 6 days a week from the time they're 7. And it's, as a coach, that's not the right thing. So I feel like a lot of times coaches, dads, go the opposite direction where they don't force their kid to do anything.
Yeah.
But then when the kid decides they want to wrestle, it's too late. They don't have any background, right? When they get to be mature enough to make a good decision, they're like 8th grade and they're like, yeah, Dad, you wrestled. Like, I want to do this too. Well, they've had no experience.
Yeah.
So just trying to balance, like, hey, learning to wrestle is going to be good for you. You're going to do it in high school. And then if you want to take it and run with it, fantastic. And I'll help you be as good as you can be. So that's kind of has been my philosophy. I said, I love it. I love doing it with them. I don't understand people who don't, because I think it's the most fun thing in the world. And yeah, there are going to be some disappointments, but that's what makes you grow. I think it was harder on my wife than anybody.
Okay.
I had to tell her, like, hey, this is good for them. Like, it's okay that they got beat. It's okay they didn't reach their goal. It's okay that, does it feel good as a parent? No, but this is what's helping prepare them for life. We don't want to just give them everything, force them to work for it.
So if I ask you, like, is there a match in college that you like still somewhat think about that you lost, like, and how you felt? Would that be worse or watching your son lose?
Oh man.
See,
Yeah.
Like, because the pain, like you mentioned, when you go all in, that pain
It hurts.
is that much greater. And as a parent, you can't control all in.
Yeah.
Like, but you still live it, feel it. What would you think would be worse?
Man, I think it was harder for me because I didn't have the perspective that I have now, which again was probably good. That's why I achieved what I achieved. It was everything to me. I think the most disappointed I ever was after losing as a junior in the finals, lost in overtime, Tony Davis. And I tell people, I think the reason for that is, I know the reason for that is, when you're in it, you know how hard it is. And people don't get it. Like nowadays, people are maybe starting to understand a little bit more, but like, just because you made the finals doesn't mean you're going to make it next year. This is like razor thin margins between being, national champ and top 12,
yeah,
or we're lower. Getting this close, that's when it hurts the most, right? You're this close. You're an overtime takedown away from being a national champ, and that would have been my goal forever. Now you got to restart, and I was so distraught. It was weeks before I could even watch it and then watch the match. So that was my experience. When my son, lost this year to place, which was his goal, and he put a ton of work in and did everything we asked him to do. Really a committed kid. I felt really bad for him, but I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah.
As a parent, shit, I was as proud as I could be. Talk about a guy who was a 60% varsity winner as a freshman, 126 pounds, fast as the season ends, gets on a lifting program, eating program. My wife's a dietitian. Listen, counting calories is not easy. That's why people don't lose weight or gain weight. They always talk about like, oh, I'm trying. What do you mean you're trying? Are you counting your calories? Are you recording it? Do you know what your target is? Well, then you're not trying. Told Dylan, like, hey, this is what it's going to take. I got him an app, counted him every day. Lifting, wrestling, doing all the things. So you watch a full year process and watching him go from the beginning of the year where he's, he's a top 25-ish type guy, which is still great, to, just keep moving up and get that close and really believe he was going to do it. And, this close, kind of like I was. Yeah. And it hurts. And it really hurts, but it's good for him. It's unfortunate, but it's good for you. And I know he's excited about, doing it again and back up. So
when you're in the corner on that blood round match, I think I was actually the ref.
I think you were assisting.
Oh, assisting. So, and I'm like, wow, like, I've known you long enough to know that it's wrestling and you have a bigger perspective. I think, what's the first thing you say to your son coming off the mat?
I said I was proud of him.
Cool.
Yeah. I said, I'm proud of you. I said, you gave everything you had. You're right there. You know, I mean, you can't make them feel better, right?
Yeah. I mean, can't fix it
You can't
right
fix it.
then.
They want to win, and that's great, and that's what you're out there for, to compete.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, I'm proud of you. You did everything you possibly could to give yourself an opportunity. We can only control the things we can control.
Yeah.
And on that day, the other kid, that match, just a little bit better. But I was honest with him afterwards. I said, listen, Dylan was completely distraught for, multiple days, and finally I had to talk to him. I said, listen, we got to be real about this. You could have lost to the previous two guys you wrestled to, and you wrestled great matches and beat them.
Yeah.
You weren't a shoe-in. It's not like you blew it.
Yeah.
You didn't blow it. You did amazing. I mean, you had a hell of a season and a hell of a tournament, and you were, a reaction time away from getting a takedown to win the match, and it just didn't happen. Like, I know you're disappointed. I'm glad you're disappointed, because I mean, you had a goal and you wanted to achieve it, but you can't think of it like you blew it. And so it was good. We had a little perspective around it that, hopefully helps. That, yeah, I did do. I mean, again, when you're in that mode, you don't think about what bad could have happened. Like, I have this goal and I'm going to get it. And that's how you need to be, which again, that's the thing I'm most proud as a parent, is hopefully I've taught him how to be a competitor, how to set a goal, how to work for something, how to really go for something, not just say it, not say, I want to be a state placer, and then do nothing, right? Like, okay, this is what it's going to take. This, and this. Watch him do all of it, just consistently. And then that's the stuff that I'm proud of, because I know that, he plays baseball. He's very successful at that. They play today, takes it over to that. He'll take it over to things, after sports, that you understand how to go for something and you're not afraid. I mean, listen, that feeling for him and for the feelings that I've had, those are the worst feelings, some of the worst feelings in life. You just don't want to feel that. It is about as depressed and as painful as you can possibly get, but those are the things you need. It sucks, but you need it. Yeah. And so having him really go all in and go for something and then not quite make it, I know it's just, hardened him that much more for the next thing.
Yeah. I feel like that's a great perspective. As an outsider, sometimes I look back and I look at whether it's just parents or whether it's coaches, and then obviously a coach parent is a unique dynamic.
Yeah.
Do you find that you have to treat Dylan any different than the other Clovis wrestlers, or do you just meet each kid is somewhat different?
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, we obviously have standards, but we try to keep each kid, again, every kid, that's the magic of being a good coach, right? Is like figuring out what makes each kid tick. We have to have a certain level of standard for everybody, but then some kids are just, need a different method, some kids are motivated differently. So the hardest thing is being a dad and a coach, which I'm trying to do both, right? Yeah. So as a dad, I'm doing things I may not do with the other kids, but doesn't mean that their dad shouldn't be doing those things. Yeah. But then as a coach, you're trying to, balance and basically make sure everybody's ready. I mean, as a dad, I go, I make sure I go to his mat, and watch his match. And I may unfortunately miss the kid before him or the kid after him. Yeah. That's just, it's a trade-off. I have to do that. Yeah. But yeah, try to help all the kids, how they need to be helped. But it is a balance. I will say the toughest thing this year was, just again, making sure, because he lost, but the other kids are still going. Yeah. And you got to be there for them and make sure that they're ready to go. And that's hard when you're, when you're a dad and you're disappointed for your kid, but then you're still the coach and you're trying to make sure the other kids, and we still had some great performances. So I think we're able to do it well, but we got 3 coaches that have kids on the team right now. Oh, okay. It's crazy. Gabe's kid, Jeff's kid, and my kid. And even John Zamora's kid is on the team now. So yeah, it's like a whole, we got a bunch of dad coaches, which we've never been before. It's always been just coaches and no kids.
Are you guys able to help check each other and go, like sometimes I feel like it's almost best for the dad to walk away and be in the stands, they're just too invested.
Yeah. I try to help. Gabe gets real nervous. I try to help with his kid when I can. Obviously I do a lot with Jeff's kid. Jeff actually helps with Dylan, because again, it just provides a different perspective. Yeah. It's hard when you're the dad and the coach and the kid doesn't always see, the line, which one are you at the moment? And so the other coaches do try to help. And like I said, I think for us, I feel worse for the dad sometimes than the kids. The kids get over it. We're the ones that take it, take it the hardest. I know Gabe's kid was the same boat as my kid, and he had a great season, got right down to the matchup place and just got beat. kid that he could have beat, but didn't that particular time. And I know he was really bummed, but said, hey, man, had a heck of a year. Kind of got to go back and put it in perspective. And again, it's gotten harder to place in California. You know, I mean, every year it's gotten harder. We got more and more people. You know, again, we keep the single divisions. You're just not getting that many opportunities to, you know, for people to place. I think it's personally too hard, but that's, you know, again, and I, as a guy who did it, it's like, we're limiting so many opportunities. And again, not because my kid didn't make it. I've said this before, like we have great kids that have come through our program. I mean, they're really good and they can't quite place in the state tournament. And it's like, Jesus, we got 15 football state champs. Yeah. And, you know, every other state has multiple divisions and we got the most people by far and the most narrow scope of success. So,
all right. Well, let me ask you a couple quick questions if you think they would fix some of those kind of dilemmas. So a fan of breaking up the state, would you say 2, 3, or 4 different divisions?
I think
or a different number.
I think what we have, I mean, listen, everybody's anti-divisions. They don't even know how it would work. The people wrestling each other now would still be wrestling each other. Like everybody who's having success now would be in the top division. So all you're doing is adding opportunities for people who are not having any success. And I don't care what people say. The biggest issue we have is we're losing programs because, number one, we've lost, again, this is a problem we can't control. We lost college wrestling. So we're not putting coaches like my dad and Wayne Brandstetter and those guys. They all wrestled at programs that don't exist anymore. Now, Humboldt State just came back, but for years it hasn't been around. That's where my dad wrestled. Like they wrestled at Chico State, San Jose State, all these programs that don't exist. So you're not putting coaches back in the system. But even when you are, if you're at a program that, you know, doesn't have the size, the resources of Clovis School or Poway or Bosco or Gilroy, like what's your incentive to really put in a great effort as a coach? What, you might get a kid to state or two? I mean, your other team, you know, your girls basketball team is, you know, winning championships and playing in the state tournament. And then you're over here just toiling away. No, I mean, listen, people can say what they want. There's no chance that 99% of the programs in California can even compete with the teams I just mentioned. Yeah. Can't even compete. I mean, it's not even close. You're talking about, it's like private school football compared to public school football. Like Bosco's football team has 20 Division I guys. Most teams have 0. Like you cannot even compete in that realm. Like that's what you're doing in wrestling. So with divisions, you give opportunities to more people, which would encourage them to have a program. We've done it I'll tell you, we did it in Central Section. We said 2 divisions, big and small. Big was always won by Clovis, Bakersfield, Buchanan, pretty much. I don't think anybody else ever won it. Maybe Lemoore way back in the day. And then small was won by Selmore or Dinuba. 5 teams out of whatever 100 in our section had any chance to have any success. We finally talked them into going to divisions and doing 5 divisions. Uh-huh. And they do the competitive equity thing, which I'm not really a fan of, but whatever. They move teams around and so many more teams actually try to develop a program because they can actually win a section championship in D3 or D4 or D5. And there's just so much more incentive to work at wrestling, to having a program, because there's an actual opportunity for success. Yeah. And that's not, so take that to the state level. It's not the case. I've done the numbers. I mean, I showed people like, it's like something like 50 or 60% of the placers are coming from, those, you know, 8. Yeah. It's like nobody else is really participating. And I'm not down on those people. I mean, if I was at, you know, like I came from the San Joaquin section, if I was at Calaveras or if I was at, you know, Dinuba, or you can't. Yeah. There's no way you're going to compete with these juggernauts. I mean, the number of coaches, the money, the resources, everything. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. So giving opportunities, I think it would be better. Will we do it? Probably not. So it sounds like more opportunities is better for you. You not worried about watered down or anything like that. I feel like with all of our tournaments nowadays, like at Doc B, like Reno, you can find out who the best is. Wrestling is very unique. I mean, most sports don't even recruit out of high school. Yeah, I know. Like we're one of the few that college, but we're also one of the few that can really say that kid was the best in California. Yeah. You know, like I think I really, people say, I don't think it's costing us. Well, That's not true. I shouldn't say that. At the Division I level, it's probably not costing us opportunities for scholarships because, again, they're not interested in being a state champ. Like, you have to do more than that, right? You have to be at a national level where you're winning. But I'll give you a good example. I won't use any names, but Shaper's kid, Gabe's kid, he's a good wrestler. He's top 12 in the state in California. He's very good. He's beaten a lot of good kids from other states. He talked to a coach of a Division II school and said, "Hey, my kid might be interested in coming to your school, and he's pretty good." And he says, "Well, what do he plays at state?" And he's like, "Well, he hasn't placed yet." He's like, "Yeah, we only recruit state players." Now, this is a state where they have 4 or 5 divisions. Like, they come to Doc B. We don't even let them in unless they're, basically top of their state. Like, they all come and they're all state champs and all seconds. And again, they have some good kids, right? But those guys get beat all the time. They don't understand. A perfect example of a coach who doesn't understand the difference between Arizona state placer, Utah state placer, Oregon state placer, California state placer.
Yeah.
Like, those are not the same. They could be. Again, a guy like Vega came out of Arizona. You can have great kids. But just because you place at state is not the same as ours.
But they don't have that depth and that breadth.
No. And they have multiple divisions. So you're talking about sheer numbers. We have double, the triple, the quadruple the population and a fourth the opportunities or a fifth the opportunities. It's just, when you look at the math, it just says that it's too tight. We should open it up. It wouldn't hurt anything. I think people would wonder in 5 years, people would wonder why we didn't do this sooner.
Yeah.
Because the same kids, the elite kids would still be wrestling each other at the elite tournaments. Most of them would still be in the top division. Yeah. Still wrestling each other at state. But you would start to bring in these smaller programs that would have an opportunity to compete and would do more to compete because they had an opportunity.
What about an idea of, in a dual meet, you have 10 weights, and in a tournament, you have 14?
Oh, I've said that. I like that.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
I feel like what you're talking about, those small schools, they don't have 50, 60, 70 kids. And like, for them fielding a duel, when I go and ref a duel in San Diego, most of them are not 14 against 14, 2.5 hours of wrestling. But if we had only 10, and I feel like NFHS pigeonholes himself when they say, you got to pick, because they did give states an option, 12, 13, 14. But I think a duel is different than a tournament.
It is.
And it's what drives me nuts about the Olympics and the World Championships. Now, I understand they can't grow the Olympics anymore.
Right.
But to have so few weights.
10 or 11 would be great for duels. Maybe even 11 because it's a tiebreaker. But that would be a lot better. It would help people field teams. Yeah. And then you could, again, you get more competitive matches, and to grow the sport. Okay.
Let's shift to like individual wrestling. Like, we were talking a little earlier before we started recording about reaction time. And I think we both agreed that it's one of the most frustrating things. Why don't you explain a little bit about your 1 second analogy?
I just think you have to define, you can't have a standard that's ambiguous, right? It has to be defined. The more objective you can make things, the more consistent you can be with calls and everybody understanding what the rules are and understanding what's required to achieve, in this case, control, right? Beyond reaction time. What does that even mean? Like, what if one person defines it as 5 seconds or 10 seconds or unlimited, and another person's like, well, immediately? Like, again, you can't you can't measure it. We have now at the college level per se, or particularly, we have video review, right? Everything can be reviewed on time. I think the first step is you have to define it. Reaction time is whatever you want it to be. I said 1 second. I personally am more for giving more rewarding scoring, rewarding aggressiveness. Hey, if you got control for a second, to me, that's control. The guy got away after that, good for him. He got an escape. If you reversed you after that, it was a reversal. You don't have to hold them down forever to get control. It doesn't say that you have to keep the guy down there. You just have to gain control of your opponent. Right now it says beyond reaction time. Define reaction time. Make it, again, I like 1 second. If you don't, 2 seconds, whatever. But now go to video review and you go, okay, he's got control, 1 second. Okay, it's control, done.
I think that's a good point. Sometimes I get as frustrated watching NCAA's reaction time. And then when it goes to video review, I feel like I'm a pretty good official. I should know what's good. And I think I roll a dice. Sometimes you're like, I don't know what they're going to decide on video review. And I think that's to your point that they're defining reaction time. Yeah. And maybe that 2 or 3 people in the video review, or maybe you and I are looking at the same thing and we have a slight different, that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
And so if you define it, you're like, now you're getting rid of Adam's point, Dale's point, and
Yeah.
you're going, this is what we decided.
Yeah.
If we want to change it later, we change it later.
Yeah.
So
I said to you earlier, what if a pin was when the guy's shoulders are down long enough?
Yeah.
Beyond him being able to get off his back, react.
Beyond reaction.
Beyond reaction time. It's a pin. Like, well, then how long? Well, when he's pinned. It's basically what we're saying. It doesn't make any sense. You can't have a standard that doesn't have any defined criteria behind it.
I'm just as passionate as you about it. And,
so frustrating.
And I feel like as officials, we do it a disservice, not on purpose, but we're following the rules. But the things I hear from coaches, we just want to know what the game is. Yeah. We want to know what the parameters are so I can coach my athlete. And when you have 2 or 3 different officials, right now, the best you can hope for is Rick McKinney is consistent with Rick McKinney.
Yep.
Or Dale Hanover is Dale Hanover. And you're like, okay, I know that this one's going to be a little quicker. This one's going to be a little slower. We just got to adjust. But I think your point is very valid.
It would make it easier on officials too. I mean, that's the one thing that, especially at the college level, like they made it so hard on officials. They need to make it easier on officials, not harder. Start giving them some things to have standards and be able to measure against. And now, I mean, hey, you got an internal clock in your head. Yeah. You're like, hey, he's got his leg, 1 second, takedown, or 2 seconds, whatever you want. Instead of, has he had time to react yet? How long? It just doesn't make sense. And the problem with wrestling is, in my opinion, I think everybody who really understands competition agrees that we're going the direction of not awarding points. And again, when you watch matches where one guy does all the activity and almost scores multiple times, but doesn't quite get it, and then they go into the tiebreaker and everything's even, it just doesn't feel right, right? Like it's not even.
Yeah.
Like this guy's done everything. This guy has done really nothing.
Yeah.
And now we're in the 30-30 tiebreaker, and it's like, oh yeah, we're all even here.
Yeah.
So I think you gotta, number one, define reaction time where you can award points easier. And I think you gotta award points easier. You gotta stop coming up with reasons why a guy isn't taken down, like we were talking about earlier. Like, show me you can get away then. If you're not taken down, then improve.
Yeah.
Oh, you're laying on your side and you got your arms and you're holding the guy's toe like this. Like, sorry, everybody who's ever wrestled knows you can't do anything from there.
I think a perfect example of how college, I think, worked to fix that was neutral danger.
Yes.
And you're like, all right, hey, I don't think you're in a good spot. And you got 3 seconds.
That's right.
And they either bail or...
It has helped. No question.
But high school, like coaches get frustrated. We get leg pass situations, and there's no rule in high school that when that guy's laying on his back, the other guy's, but he has his leg. It's an awkward, but I feel like that guy's controlling.
Right.
And what if I could say, all right, you got 1 second, you got 2 seconds, show me what you're going to do. You're either going to bail, you're going to roll through, or you just, I mean, let's face it, the reason we have that is there were 5 million stalemates.
I know.
From the Abbas roll and all of that.
Less stalemates, less potentially dangerous. Again, I think you have the verbiage for it. I don't know all the officiating things, but like improve. You didn't improve. You're taken down. That's it. It's not that hard. Like you just say, hey, you need to improve. Oh, you're just laying there upside down and you're hanging onto his leg and you can't do anything else. Then you're taken down. And this is what I was saying. We need to update our rule set, our rule book, that these situations, these are control. The guy needs to be able to improve or he's under control. Our rules have not kept up with the sport, and that we haven't updated. And we still have pictures in the book that you don't see very often, right? Like this never happens. And you got things that happen damn near every elite match, and there's no pictures in the book.
Yeah.
Like this is a takedown. And I mean, we said you can go through 10 different situations and go, this is control, this is control, this is control. And that's where we need to start going. Have the ability for officials to go, hey, improve. If you're not improved, taken down.
Cool.
Sport would be better for it.
Yeah.
You get less of the stalemate, less of the potentially dangerous, less of the almost scores, and you get more points. And they're not artificial. The guy has to get somewhere to take them down.
Yeah.
And now the guy's got to show he can continue to improve or you're under control.
Cool. So, controlling and earning points a little quicker. reaction time. Anything else you would change as far as rules?
Honestly,
Are you a push out guy?
I think there's got to be an objective penalty at the edge. I do think there has to be a penalty. I don't care. Again, this is back to defining the rules, right?
Yeah.
So coaches know, athletes know, officials know. You can't. College right now, it could be stalling this way. It could be stalling this way. It could be an action call. Like, again, that's a nothing. That's like, you're not giving them any parameters. It's just, it could basically be anything. That doesn't help. I do think there has to be an objective penalty at the edge because it forces wrestling to the center where you want wrestling, right? We want wrestling to happen. We don't want the out of bounds to be an extra defender. So that's a huge issue we have right now. If anybody who gets in a scoring situation immediately goes out of bounds, that helps me. I get an extra defender. Now he can't go over this line and take me down, and I can stay over here, and it helps me, right? So that's that thing. I said the things I think need to be changed are defining reaction time, and that goes around control, wording points easier, penalty at the edge, whatever you want it to be. Could be a stall call, could be a point. There's got to be something that every wrestler knows. When I go over this line, that's bad.
Yeah.
The other guy is going to get something for that. And then the last thing, again, I try to be objective and watch things that happen and understand, kind of game theory dynamics. I think wrestling would be better if we had a defined period of time we didn't have overtime. I really do. I think it would be better. You watch freestyle and somebody knows they're losing or winning the whole time.
Okay.
And I only have to go for 6 minutes. Yeah. And you know how many times guys are freaking exhausted at the end of a freestyle match? I mean, just like both ready to fall over because they didn't have to save anything, right? They didn't have to worry about, God, well, what if this is tied and I have to go to overtime? I need to have some gap.
They're like 40 seconds to go. I'm going to wait and because I don't want to have to ride them out.
Biggest issue with college wrestling in that aspect right now, no urgency. Even in our day, okay, there were low scoring matches and matches went to overtime. I can't tell you the number of matches I watched at the Nationals where first 3 minutes, no one does anything. And I'm not even talking about couldn't score, because obviously it's tough to score at that level. They weren't even interested. It's like, I know this is going to go to overtime. I know it's going to be a one-score match. So you're just delaying, you're stretching this activity period over a much longer period of time where we want as much wrestling as possible in the shortest window we can, right?
Something similar to maybe rewarding near fall as the first tie-breaking criteria. Or
said first point because I think that encourages, again, from the opening whistle, right?
Yeah.
You want activity. You want guys to try to score points. So if you did first point, but again, I'm open to interpretation. Could be last point, could be highest point value, whatever you want. But
somebody's going to know with 30 seconds to go. Guess what? It ain't tied. I'm losing on criteria.
And not only do they know, but they know they don't have to wrestle any extra.
Yeah.
I mean, from wrestling, I know from wrestling. The biggest fear of a wrestler is hitting the wall.
Yeah.
Right? Where you can't go anymore. You've spent all your energy and you cannot wrestle another second. You're done. So they're always saving something, knowing that, hey, I might have to go longer. I might have to go overtime. I might have to go to the tiebreaker. I mean, if you watch the matches, the really elite matches, the only time you introduce a sense of urgency is the 30-30 tiebreaker. Then all of a sudden guys are going crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, because they know, this is it. If I ride this guy or if I don't get away, I'm going to lose. And all of a sudden, the activity level, we've gone 7 minutes of regulation, 2 minutes overtime. We've got 9 minutes, and hardly anything's happened. And all of a sudden, for 1 minute, 30 and 30, there's all this wrestling. And we're like, we could have just done that in the first 7.
That's a good point.
But if you force them to know that, hey, I could go 3 more minutes, or hey, it was tied, they have to go again. Listen, I know a lot of people are against it. You watch what happens in freestyle. And again, forget the way freestyle scores. Doesn't have anything to do with that. It's about the dynamics of a finite period of time that you're going to fight for, and that there's going to be a winner or loser after that period of time. And that could be 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever you want. Obviously, right now we have 3-2-2, and that's fine. But after 7 minutes, there is going to be a winner. And you would see way better third periods. Way better.
Probably better first periods, too.
Way better first periods.
Go. Yeah.
I can't see a way in which it wouldn't work. I think it would be so much better. And I think wrestling, listen, the purists right away would hate it. Because I hated the tiebreaker in freestyle. I hated it. I was like, why are we doing this? And then you watch how it unfolds and you go, this is better. This is better. Again, the goal is to think of the matches you love watching. a lot of activity, a lot of action, probably a lot of scoring, right? But at least action, a lot of action. The goal is to get that action in the least period of time.
It would be better for the sport.
Right. So if there were 5 shots by each guy and that happened over an hour, you wouldn't be very excited, right? Okay, so I watched 60 minutes and I got to see one guy shoot 5 times and the other guy shoot 5 times. But if I saw 5 shots in 3 minutes, I'd be really excited, right? That's what gets us going. So if we can get the wrestling, and again, you got a fatigue factor, human body has limits. So, okay, we can only go so long at this high pace. What's the right amount of time? Again, college, we have mat wrestling and everything. 7 minutes, you go balls out. You're going to see guys going a lot harder because they know that's it. It's over after that.
They don't have to go 9.5.
No. And
you can see, I mean, there's individuals that we know in college. It's going to come down to ride out.
Right.
And, or they're going to go gangbusters in that first 30 seconds of ultimate or overtime.
Yeah. We're not getting the most from our athletes because if you watch a freestyle match where, again, finite period of time, you know you're going to win or lose at the end. Yeah. I can't tell you. I mean, I've been watching the World Trials. If the match is even close, the guys are like fall down tired. These are the same guys that wrestle college. It's not like they're not in great shape. They're in phenomenal shape, but they're going at a pace. They're going balls out to try to win if they're losing. And the guy who's winning is obviously has to now defend crazily to win. That rarely happens in folk style. Most of the time in a folk style match, when it's over, they have some left in the tank because they needed it. They weren't sure that, hey, it's like driving and like, okay, I don't know how much gas it's going to take. All right, I got to keep some in the tank. Where if you have a defined time period, they know I got this much gas. I'm using all of it. I'm using everything I got to try. And the wrestling is better. That's the point.
I think that's a great point. Switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the Doc-B. It is hands down my favorite tournament to officiate and absolutely blown away. How do you, I mean, it's been around obviously a while, but these last 5-6 years, and especially last year, it's gone to an absurd, elite, incredible event. How do you bring in those teams and get them to come back each year? Like, what's that process
We didn't
like?
do it. So it's just like any good company, any good marketing strategy. It's all word of mouth. Like, we just needed to get some teams here, and at first it was super limited. And, but once people started coming, and Bergen was really a major get from the East Coast, that they came out, they go back and tell everybody, you guys should see this, this tournament they got out in California. This thing is amazing. And it's not just the level of, listen, you can get great competition at a lot of tournaments. Yeah. There are tournaments that are tougher than ours, no question, especially off season, Super 32, that type of thing. But the event is different, right? It's not like a high school tournament. It's just a lot, again, the ability to get all those good kids and sort of eliminate the kids who maybe don't belong at that level until they do. And so you get good matches right off the bat. It's just like a mini college environment. Just that experience. And then those teams have gone back and told other teams. Once you get a team from, a good example. So we got Norwin, Pennsylvania. And we had never had a Pennsylvania school. We did have Wyoming Seminary, but they're prep. We'd never had a Pennsylvania school. And I told our assistant AD who helps me with the, trying to get teams, I go, you watch, we're going to get another Pennsylvania school. Because they came out, had an amazing time, had the one kid that won it, went back, told everybody, this thing's awesome. If you can go, you should go. Next year, Faith Christian wants to come. And they're coming back, actually. Oh, they want to come back. Again, once somebody vouches for you, you know what I mean? Like from your area that and they're like, oh yeah, you should go to this. They're like, oh, okay, well, maybe we should. Like before that, it's kind of, it's not real. It's like, okay, well, there's a good tournament out there, but there's lots of good tournaments. Once you get a team from a particular state, they go back and tell the other people. So that's kind of how it's grown.
It's not easy in high school either. I feel like that's the difference between high school and college. Very few people are traveling 3, 4, 5 hours by plane for a tournament, and nothing but props to the East Coast that some of those it's harder for them to, but just like it's harder for us to go to high school nationals or those tournaments, 3 time zones, all that kind of stuff.
I think the biggest thing with the doc, and again, this is just my business knowledge, acumen, strategy, and my dad, when we kind of started doing it, was we've gone to a lot of tournaments and they act like you're lucky to be there. And it's like, no, we appreciate anyone who's going to come. They're coming a long way to be here. Yeah. And they're choosing to be here this weekend. They could be somewhere else. They're spending their money here. Like, we always wanted to make the teams that came in feel like we love you being here. We really appreciate it. And we're going to treat you right. Now, of course, we're going to try to beat you on the mat.
Yeah.
And you're going to try to beat us. But that's why we're here. That's the fun part, right? But we don't want you to feel like you're an outsider.
No.
You're an insider. We want you here. And we want you to go tell everybody else how great this is. And maybe they come too. And so that's kind of how we built it. And I think people felt that not only is it a great tournament, but it's for everybody. It's not, oh, this is a California tournament.
Yeah.
You come in from outside California, like they're going to rip you off. It's like, no, we built it because we want people to come. And really what our goal was to create obviously a better event than we had, but also to give our kids an opportunity to wrestle some other kids and get seen. Like, because our kids don't get recruited very well because, again, we're geographically challenged, right? We're far away. So if one of the kids at the Doc B, say from Utah or Nevada or California, or whatever, wrestles a kid who's being recruited by 3, 4, 5 schools from the Midwest or the back East, doesn't mean they're better than him. But like, well, everybody's recruiting this guy, and this guy over here just went overtime with him. Who's recruiting him? It gives them opportunity. And you don't know how many kids have gotten an opportunity to wrestle at the next level because of the tournament, because they've shown well and wrestled some really good kids and like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Like, we should talk to him.
Yeah.
Because that's where the belief of, like, again, old school, maybe it was this way back in the day, but they're not looking for state championships. They're not. I'm telling you, college coaches, Division I level, are not looking for guys who won the state. It doesn't mean anything. What they want to see is that you beat a guy like, this kid signed to Michigan. I'm at Ohio State. This kid just beat the guy going to Michigan. Well, I'm going to be wrestling Michigan.
Yeah.
So maybe I need this guy. Like, that's what they're interested in. And that's how you really get kids opportunities. So I think that the Doc B has really helped a lot of kids get opportunities to show that, hey, I'm pretty good and I could probably wrestle the next level if you give me an opportunity.
Cool. Well, you mentioned Faith. Any name drops for schools you know are coming next year?
Oh my gosh.
The picture?
Honestly, I haven't got the list, but now we basically have to, like, we don't turn anybody away, but we have to be more selective and tell them, like, hey, if you're coming, unless you're like a top team in the country, like, you just can't bring your whole team.
Yeah.
Because we just can't fit everybody.
Yeah.
So we're trying to continue to keep it to, the best teams. But I know Faith is coming back. I know Del Barton wants to come back. Said Jaden James is, in the final.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
I watched him this year. I'm like, this is one of the best high school kids I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, and his coach said, he goes, this guy's unbelievable. You just can't, there's a lot of great kids, but there are certain kids that are just above.
I think one thing that people miss about the Doc B, and I think you alluded to, it's an experience. You're not in an arena where there's 12 mats. On the second day, really after that first round, you're on 3 mats. And it's a gym.
It is.
And I mean, the finals are absurd.
Yeah.
But the quarterfinals are absurd.
You're right.
The semifinals are
great.
And you're right on top. And it's so, well, number one, you can watch wrestling. You don't have to cover 8 mats.
Right.
And I feel like that's a niche. And you just can't make it a 120 team tournament and run something like that.
And we don't want to. I've always said from a sport perspective, wrestling needs more events. We need more dual meets like Clovis Buchanan. We need more tournaments like the Doc B, where you're really trying to put on an event that everybody, and I know the officials appreciate it.
Yeah.
Come in and it's like, hey, obviously I'm getting paid to officiate, but I want to officiate this level. This is awesome. It's fun to watch the kids. And the coaches appreciate it. I mean, we're, as much as we're coaching our own kids, we're enjoying watching everybody else's kids. Yeah. It's a great event, and we need more of that and less of the 30 mat convention center with, the wrestling's great because there's 1,000 kids there, but it's not anything anybody can watch.
Doc B, you have state champs losing round 1.
Oh,
I mean,
all the time, all the time.
So you mentioned like creating this like word of mouth. And I think that's either good or bad. You know, if you ran a crappy tournament, that word of mouth is going to go
That's right.
almost faster.
That's right.
So that they're spending their money. Talk a little bit about how Clovis High School and really Clovis Unified helps you put on people don't realize that these table workers are not students. They're not mat mates. No offense. That's how you got to run tournaments.
It's a district event. It is something that the entire district helps with. Obviously, some people more than others, but it's a longest running tournament. in the district. It was named after the first superintendent, who really was basically the reason why Clovis Unified is great at sports and everything, because he was a guy that believed in competition and loved wrestling, loved sports, believed they taught kids a lot. It wasn't about, the only thing that matters here is academics. He was a mind, body, spirit person.
Yeah.
And anyway, so it's the Doc Buchanan. It's named after Floyd Doc Buchanan, who was our first superintendent, and just an amazing, ahead of his time type guy. And the whole district, and this is back when, there's just Clovis. And so it's always been, the district tournament, and they help out. Like I said, they're, from our assistant AD who helps recruit teams and get contracts out and do all those type of things, to, principal and the AD, and then up at the district office, and then all the district administrators work the tables. And yeah, it's a great event. But you couldn't do it with just a wrestling program.
Yeah.
You need, a team of people to put on a great thing.
Cool. Well, you guys do an excellent job with that. I'll wrap it up here with a couple questions kind of coming back. I'm so impressed with how you handle parenting and coaching. And I think that that's amazing. What's an advice or some advice you would give to dads or moms coaching their sons or daughters? That could be a whole different podcast, coaching your daughters, because I feel like they're different. Yeah. I know we're not allowed to say that, but
men and women are different. It's okay.
They're different.
That's why we have life. It's okay.
What's something that you would, as a coach and as a dad, you would go, hey, you should work on this with your kid? Or like, how do they keep that balance and that dynamic of being a dad and also coaching, or just being a dad?
Yeah, gosh. I mean, I could go through so many things. I'm fortunate. I had some good experiences. I had some good coaches, good dad, good mentors. I think, like I've laid out a little bit, number one, you want them to love what they're doing. But loving what you're doing doesn't mean it's always going to be fun. It's not about fun. If you want to do sports, you need to work at it. But you should love the process, right? Like I said, my son plays baseball. He's actually a pretty good player. He wanted to play baseball when he was 7 or 8. I'm like, you're sure you want to do this? He's like, yeah, I want to do it. Long story, my whole family's Cubs fans. They won the World Series. My wife's from Chicago, so a lot of Cubs. And he decided he wanted to play baseball. I'm like, okay, if you want to play, though, you're going to work at it. I'm not going to be taking you around just to play games if you're not going to, be practicing your throwing, practicing catch, practice hitting. Like, you got to learn to work at something, right? Got to learn to love what you're doing. And like I said, it's not always going to be fun. But I think a big thing, so that's number one as a parent. Hey, you don't skip practice. We go to practice. You said you wanted to do baseball. Like, we always go to practice. Yeah. We always work at it. We always get out and do extra work. I mean, I got a batting cage in my backyard. I'm a wrestling coach. But my kids want to be successful. I'm here to give them the tools to be successful. I'd say beyond that, as an athlete, as a coach, as everything, you got to learn to control things you can control. Put the focus on things that are under your control. How hard am I working? How much time am I putting in? How much video am I watching? I mean, we watch wrestling matches. We watch college wrestling together. If you're not doing any of those things, I always go back to like kind of a smart ass comment, but it's like, you're not really serious. Yeah. You tell me you want to do something, but what are you doing? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this? Well, then you're not serious. And I'm not a sugarcoated type person. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you that, including my own personal kids or the kids I coach. I'm not going to tell you, that you worked as hard as you could and you really deserved it. You didn't. You got what you deserved. And a lot of times in sports, you do get what you deserve. Not always. But if you expect X, you need to put in this. I think as a parent, it's hard. It's a hard balance. You need to continue to encourage them to, again, as a parent, you're an adult. You know more than the kids do. It's not, what do you want to do? This is what you need to do. Now, I don't ever say, get your shoes, we're going over to drill, as far as we got to do this all the time. But like, if there's practice, we set up practices. Yeah. We're doing it so many times a week. If it's baseball or whatever it is, hey, are you hitting at night? Are you going out in the batting cage? You're not? Well, then you shouldn't expect to do well. So that kind of thing. Hopefully that makes sense for people.
No, I think that's a very balanced approach. I think
as parents, let me say one thing. I think as parents too, you can't feel sorry for your kid. That's a really big thing. You cannot feel sorry for your kid. If they don't do what it takes to be successful, you can't be crying around for them. Don't make excuses for them. Help them do the things it takes to be successful. But if they don't get it done, I mean, listen, my dad was like this, and this is one thing I learned. If we didn't do well, he didn't cry and well, the official screwed you and you really deserved it. I'll never forget. I didn't do something he asked me to do, and I lost. And he's like, "You didn't. I told you you need to be running. You didn't want to. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you didn't do the things it takes to be successful." That's where parents, a lot of times, you feel for your kid, right? Because you're a parent, and then you fall into the trap of making excuses for him, feeling bad for him, rather than saying, "Hey, you didn't do what you needed to do." It's a good opportunity for them to learn or to make excuses. And all my kids have done the same thing. I did the same thing. Believe me, I was a school of hard knocks kid. I would always do the wrong thing and then have to learn from it to do the right things. But if my dad or my mom would make excuses for me and how I got screwed and it wasn't my fault, and I never would have learned. But it was like, hey, you got what you got, man. That's what you put into it. That's what you got out of it. Next time, maybe you put in more, you get out more. So it's a great lesson, and I don't think enough people learn it.
Great point. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.